This is MuggleCast, the Harry Potter podcast discussing everything about J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. Welcome to MuggleCast, episode 367. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Micah.
We are coming off our fun trip to New York where we saw The Cursed Child on Broadway. We saw it days before it went on to receive tons of Tony Award nominations.
Yeah, that was fast.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see it right before it picked up all these Tony noms, in my opinion.
How does that work, though? Because the show is only on Broadway for the public for what? A couple days?
Well, there's a lot of funny business, but also I think the preview counts.
Yeah.
The way Pottermore described it is that The Cursed Child had opened last month, or I don't know, the previous month, depending on what the news. Whatever the award submission period is, Cursed Child made the deadline probably by the last day.
And the other thing is they have to invite Tony Award producers, I believe it is, to the show. So they probably invited them very early so they could be eligible.
So here's a question I have. I haven't done a whole lot of reading up on this, but is it nominated as the entirety of Cursed Child or part 1, part 2? How does that work?
Oh,
the entirety. What that would be funny if part 1 and part 2 best received nominations both received nominations for best play.
Okay, that is actually really funny. But yeah.
It received 10 nominations, including Best Play, Best Leading Actor in a Play, Jamie Parker as Harry Potter, Best Featured Actor and Actress in a Play, Anthony Boyle, who's Scorpius, Noma, Dumas Wenny, who is Hermione, and Best Direction, John Tiffany. Katrina Lindsay was nominated for Best Costume Design, Christine Jones for Best Scenic Design, Neil Austin for Best Lighting. Lighting is really impressive in this because that's where they hide a lot of the magic. So I really hope that they win there.
Yeah, for sure.
Neil definitely needs to take one of these home.
Come on, Neil. And then Stephen Hoggett for Best Choreography, and finally Gareth Fry for Best Sound Design.
Yeah, I'm interested in a lot of these technical awards. I want to see Cursed Child pick them up because it is a remarkable feat. I'm still telling people, I have no idea how they did that stuff on stage.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I would say that these awards that you just mentioned are probably the areas where if they don't win, I don't know who's going to, because nobody does what they do on stage. It's just impossible. Because if you read all the reviews, you saw all the publicity that came out of the opening of Cursed Child, every person talked about the experience, right? The story, not as much, but just the effects, the magic. So,
well, from what I understand, the SpongeBob play is also quite magical.
The what?
The SpongeBob musical that's on Broadway right now,
which I really want to see, by the way.
I think it'll be really good.
It get good. It has been getting great reviews. My brother saw it and loved it. I know a couple big SpongeBob fans. Who isn't a SpongeBob fan?
Well, that's a good question. But also, the way that I'm hearing a lot of the people talk about Cursed Child and the Tony Award nominations is that it is sort of a slow year for Broadway. Besides the SpongeBob musical and Cursed Child and maybe one or two others, there doesn't seem to be a lot of buzz going around for certain plays. In the past, there's been Hamilton was just, literally took the world by storm. And I think that, a lack of competition may work in Cursed Child's favor as well, in addition to all of the very real achievements that the production has. And good work for Noma and Jamie and Anthony as well. I would like to see them all win as well.
Oh, there was actually an 11th Tony they were nominated for. Anthony Boyle nominated for Best Persistent Screaming throughout an entire play. I think he'll pick that one up.
I think. Thank you so much. His
Do you want some of my sweets?
That was actually pretty good. Have you been practicing?
He's just spent 10 hours in a theater listening to it the last week.
Yeah, that's right. Your total hour count is now at 10 sitting inside the Lyric
15.
Theater.
So since our last episode, I did see it another time. As luck would have it, I I got tickets on behalf of Hypable, so I took my boyfriend, who's a huge Harry Potter fan, and we had a blast. I would going into it, seeing it second time in a week, I thought it might feel like a drag, but I genuinely enjoyed it. And because of that magic that we keep talking about, like, it's just a thrill to sit there and try to figure out how they're doing it and just to witness it before your own eyes.
Yeah.
So it actually wasn't painful for me. I had a lot of fun. And that said, I probably won't see it again for years, if ever.
But you saw it from a different perspective, right? Where you were sitting was different from when you went with us. And I wondered, like, did you try and look for different things, given that you were in a different spot, see if you could catch anything?
I was actually trying to catch the polyjuice, but that was still difficult to tell. I'm pretty sure they're coming up from underneath the stage because I actually could see behind them this time. So it's definitely, they're definitely not walking in from behind.
Oh, geez.
I will also mention the Cursed Child Theater, the Lyric Theater, has this excellent service where they will deliver drinks and food directly to your seat for no extra cost. And these people are walking around the theater at the beginning of the show, during intermissions, and you can order from them, pay for it right there using their iPhone, and then they will bring a drink to you. And this is so great because A, no extra cost, despite the convenience, and B, the lines are so long to get drinks, especially during intermission. This takes that BS out of the equation. So if you were going to see the play, I highly recommend using one of these people who are standing around waiting to place orders, because there's no extra. I assume there would be an extra cost for the convenience, but there isn't. There's just, you can add a tip if you want.
Yeah. No, that's really useful.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the lines are long, and God, I'm just thinking, though, if somebody had like pass a drink over to where we were sitting together, the people next to me who were all jerks would have flipped out.
That's true. I was sitting on the aisle this second time, so I don't know what that would be like. But
they gave me crap every time that I had to like get up or go out.
Yeah, they got to calm down. That's theater life.
We were like 10 seats in too, but I mean, yeah. It just was sort of a nightmare. So this sounds great. I did want to ask, because you were in like front row balcony, weren't you?
Yeah,
like...
the dress circle. They were really good to me. I didn't deserve those tickets. And I had nobody in front of me. I had extra leg room. I was right on the aisle. It was perfect.
It's like you're flying first class.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's why I probably enjoyed it the second time more, because I was just so comfortable too.
yeah. But I did want to ask, and we talked about this on our last episode reviewing it, but how was the view of the Dementors at the end of part 1?
Oh yeah, that was cool. The ones flying around above. Yeah, it was a nice little treat for the people up above.
That's cool.
Did you try and grab a Dementor?
No, I think I would have been kicked out.
Thrown out. Well, no, I mean, you were sitting in first class, so maybe they let you do that.
You can pet it.
Pet a Dementor. Yeah.
I wanted to also add, though, in the like 2 or 3 days between shows, they added Hogwarts merchandise, which might be my favorite Cursed Child merchandise. There is a $40 Hogwarts pillow. There is also now a red Hogwarts t-shirt and hoodie. And I bought the hoodie, $60, because I love this Hogwarts logo that they use in the Cursed Child. And I'm so glad that they did this, because, like, yeah, the house merchandise is cool, but sometimes I just want a generic Hogwarts thing instead of a specific house.
Right.
So definitely check that out if you're going. I did overhear them mention that it was brand new. I don't know why it got added after opening, but
yeah, that was kind of sad. Like I left New York on Thursday and visited the gift shop on Thursday, and the grand opening was Sunday. So, you know, they had like within a week to get that merchandise there, and it was not there.
Yeah.
I will say I did find out that you can, in fact, if you show up on a random day or in the middle of, you know, the week, or when part 1 hasn't just finished, to the gift shop, which is open, I assume, normal business hours, and in addition to when the play is going on, you can actually ask, and they will get you a hashtag keep the secrets, like a part 2 style design t-shirt. So they don't store, because we mentioned they change up some of the merchandise between parts 1 and 2 when they're playing. You can actually get part 2 merchandise. I asked, but they just won't display it during regular during the day.
Oh, you're saying the Voldemort Day.
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah, you can get that shirt.
Okay.
I had bought it, but I went in and I was like, "Hey, I'm not seeing a shirt. I know it exists.
Yeah.
Can I get in there?" And they're like, "Shh, we don't talk about this." There was like one other person at the other end of the store, and the cashier was just like, "Ooh, we don't talk about it, but we can work it out." So they will sell, like, for anybody who's interested or has seen the designs for this part 2 shirt, you can get it during any time. You just got to ask. It's special and be all secretive and crap.
We did buy some Voldemort Day stickers and a pin that will be a Patreon giveaway later this month. And throw in a couple Keep the Secrets buttons as well.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say about Cursed Child?
Congratulations on the nominations for the Tonys.
After you slept on the Cursed Child, did you continue to feel good about it?
I continue to stand by. I think our episode was the definitive everything I'm ever going to say about Cursed Child. Like, the production surprised even me, but the story is still garbage.
Final thoughts on Cursed Child, though. I would just go back to what I said on the last episode in terms of really echoing what Eric just said about the story. But the production is definitely something I think Potter fans should go and see. It's a time commitment. It is not inexpensive unless you can get those Friday 40 deals. So that's certainly understandable. But I think if you're a big fan of the series, it's worth checking out. Yeah.
And the actors, again, like Jamie Parker in particular, really, really, really enjoyed his Harry.
Yeah.
Especially as the play went on, it was really, really good.
Yeah. Don't want to be dismissive of the effort that the cast and crew put into it, because they do an amazing job. It's just the plot
that's the thing, though. It's not just 5 hours of dialogue, although it's 5 hours of dialogue. It's also the choreography, where they have to be at any given time, the magic effects that they're actually achieving by allowing themselves to be lifted up on wires and shoved up through the floor, any kind of, the whole production is just an amazing feat. And each and every one of these actors is doing 2 or 3 times the work of any other actor. So it's really impressive.
Okay, we got a lot to discuss still on today's show. We got some news to talk about, and then we're also going to review Hogwarts Mystery, the new Harry Potter game that came out for iOS and Android. And then we got a bunch of voicemails to play.
I actually started playing Hogwarts Mystery at the top of the show, and I'm still trying to power up enough to get through.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not.
It was a funny joke.
It was a joke.
Oh,
yeah.
I get it, I think.
Yeah, you will. I mean, we got enough comments about it.
Yeah.
So actually, speaking of Cursed Child, J.K. Rowling decided to drop a bit of cool information while she was seeing The Cursed Child open on Broadway last week. She was sitting with Fantastic Beasts newcomer Jessica Williams, who you might know from The Daily Show. And I think we've spoken about her before, definitely when she was cast. She's a huge Harry Potter fan. Yeah. And she also loves The Sims video game. So J.K. Rowling and her, long story short, have bonded over Harry Potter and The Sims video game. And so J.K. Rowling took a picture with Jessica Williams in between parts 1 and 2. And she tweeted, Professor Eulalie Hicks of Ilvermorny School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with some random woman during the interval of Cursed Child NYC. So right there, boom, we learned for the first time who Jessica Williams is playing. It's an Ilvermorny professor.
I'm blown away. This was not at all what I was expecting at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
Why?
And then she said in a second tweet, you only see a hint of Lily in Fantastic Beasts 2. Her true glory is revealed in Fantastic Beasts 3.
I didn't expect that we'd be going back to Ilvermorny or seeing Ilvermorny or having anything to do with Ilvermorny. We know that it is the school that produced Queenie and Tina, but I had no expectations for us to ever meet a teacher, from that school or anything. So it really kind of calls into question for me my own personal, how I thought the series was going in a good way. Like I'm very excited about this.
So I guess one question is, because we didn't see it going this way, I agree with you, because we've heard that each movie could be set in a different country.
Entirely, yeah.
Could it be a flashback that we see Professor Laley in, and maybe it's involving Queenie and Tina, and maybe an unknown American wizard that we haven't met yet who also went to Ilvermorny?
It's possible.
Maybe.
I would say, though, if she's playing a major role in the third film, she's likely to exist in the present as well.
Yeah.
Unless 3 is completely going back
all backstory
in time. But I would say, though, that just because she is an Ilvermorny professor doesn't necessarily mean that we see Ilvermorny, doesn't necessarily mean that we're going back to America for any reason.
Very true.
She could be traveling internationally. She could be part of a team that Tina or Queenie or even Newt brings together. Who's to say she's even on the good side of things either? We don't know. Just because she teaches, we know plenty of teachers that have had some issues over the years
with their moral compass.
Yeah,
with their alignment.
Exactly. So, this is an interesting one, and more so in the sense that she's saying that she'll have a larger role in the third film. I feel like that was being a little bit dismissive of her character for Fantastic Beasts 2.
But I'm just so interested in seeing where it goes, and knowing that Jessica Williams is such a huge Harry Potter fan. I think and that her and J.K. Rowling, this is how J.K. Rowling spent her time between parts 1 and 2 on Sunday, was hanging out with Jessica Williams. That's pretty cool.
I think, Micah, what J.K. Rowling may have been hinting at is that we're just not going to see much of her in the second movie. Maybe, we'll only get a couple scenes, a couple quick glimpses of the character.
Right.
That's why
maybe like how Newt had the photo of Zoe Kravitz, of Lita Lestrange, played by Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
Maybe Queenie or Tina are going to have a portrait of their favorite Ilvermorny professor.
Right.
Lally.
Maybe she tweeted this not to get people too excited about seeing her in the second one, because then we go into the movie and then we come out of it and we're like, well, where's Jessica Williams? She was in it for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And who knows what the final film is going to look like by the time they actually edit it. You got to think there's so many characters, and J.K. Rowling's mind tends to run rampant with ideas that a lot could be left on the cutting room floor. I mean, that whole Circus Arcanus thing seemed to get cut out in the first one. Like,
that's true.
Yeah, I think the key piece of this is the mention of Ilvermorny, though. Going back to Eric, what you said at the top of this discussion, and just that she's going to continue to play a role moving forward.
Yeah.
And do we know anything about the Hicks family? And I feel like I'm channeling Pottermore here, but what can we figure out about it? Probably not a whole lot of anything at this point, but has there been any mention somewhere on Pottermore over the years about Hicks?
Somebody named Hicks, yeah. I don't know.
I don't think so. Final point I would make is we still really haven't seen Ilvermorny at all. We were expecting to see it in the first movie, given how much information was unveiled on Pottermore. So maybe here's our answer to why they did release so much information, because we were going to get Ilvermorny later, just not in movie 1.
I do think it would be a little bit of a disappointment to have a professor from that school.
Yeah.
And then given all of the exposure that we've gotten to it over the course of the last couple of years, to not see it on screen in some capacity.
Especially because we're going back to Hogwarts now,
right.
Like it's just like, show us the other school.
Maybe somehow she's in touch with Hogwarts regularly, and that's how she could get involved starting in movie 2 and then more in movie 3. Like maybe Dumbledore interacts with her in movie 2.
Maybe that
maybe they're fellow Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers.
Ah, what a good transition.
Yeah.
So, there's this annual convention of sorts called CinemaCon in Las Vegas. It's for movie exhibitors, like the movie exhibitor chains like AMC and Regal and all these other ones. They all gather and the studios present the films that are coming up. So, the goal is for the studios to show off their upcoming films so that the theaters will run their movies on as many screens as possible. They want to woo them with cool footage and stars appearing. It's like Comic-Con, but less crazy because it's not fans. It's just the business side of it.
Yeah.
I love going to it because it's actually manageable and you see what movies are coming up in the year ahead. You get cool previews. Warner Brothers did bring out most of the Fantastic Beasts cast, and they unveiled a couple new clips from Crimes of Grindelwald, including this one where it hasn't been released online, and it probably won't. Maybe we'll see it in a trailer, but stuff that premieres at CinemaCon tends to not be released to the public. It's just for movie exhibitors and the press who are attending. There is a flashback scene in which Hogwarts professor Albus Dumbledore teaches a class the ridiculous spell, and Newt is there as a student. We don't know if it was Eddie Redmayne or a younger actor. We know a younger Newt was cast, so that's possible, or maybe digitally altered.
Right.
But he faces a boggart, and it turns into a desk because he's afraid of working an office job.
That's a little on the nose.
Right, so it's like introducing Newt in his early years. I don't want to be inside. I want to be outdoors, discovering beasts. I'll write a book someday.
Mm-hmm.
And then they actually saw a little bit of Nicholas Flamel as well, and Jacob interacts with them and quips that you don't look a day over 375.
He's like 600 at the time.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So this is interesting. This seems to confirm what the trailer hinted, that Dumbledore is a Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, because in the trailer we saw him in the DADA classroom. Now we're seeing him teach a DADA spell. Lupin taught that spell in Prisoner of Azkaban. What gives, guys?
Substitute teacher. I don't know. I mean, maybe for the purposes of this film series, he will be the DADA teacher.
Right.
Or
I mean, he's perfect for it. He's
before Transfiguration.
Yeah. It's just, I always did like the idea that Dumbledore was a Transfiguration expert or enough to teach it. You know, I liked that idea because it wasn't well explained. We don't see Dumbledore actively transfiguring anything so far as I can tell. I mean, he pokes Slughorn and gets Slughorn out of the chair, but other than that, you know, Dumbledore and Transfiguration was always a mystery. And so rather than exploring him teaching Transfiguration, Joe has made it so he's teaching DADA instead. Okay, all right. But where's all this knowledge that he has that I want to tap into about Transfiguration? Because we've seen plenty of DADA stuff through the 7 years of Hogwarts, but not so much Transfiguration. And I was interested in getting to the bottom of that.
True. I think that it could just be a situation where it's important for us to see Newt in that moment, knowing what his true fear is, perhaps learning that spell for future use. And it makes sense for the purpose of the film to have Dumbledore be the one who teaches it to him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And also the way movies work, right? It's those character moments, like you're saying, that the Dumbledore-Newt relationship could grow in that scene, and that would be important to the plot later.
Exactly. If you're going to bring in Galatia Merrythought, right, as professor in this particular moment, nobody's going to know who she is.
Right.
Galatia Merrythought.
She's the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
Yeah,
during this time.
Cool.
It's going to be a random person, whereas you can have Dumbledore. And another part of this is it could help to solidify whatever relationship it is that's being built between Newt and Dumbledore.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just more familiar with Defense Against the Dark Arts, right? If they're in a Transfiguration classroom, how many fans of the series do you think know, outside of, the diehards, the ones that listen to podcasts, that Dumbledore taught Transfiguration?
Mm-hmm.
If they change it up, how many people are actually gonna be like, no, he taught?
Well, nobody's going to be that way, but I think it's a missed opportunity for Joe to double down and be like, these are the cool things Dumbledore can do with Transfiguration.
Right.
His for the people who know he taught it, that's an extra bonus. But for audiences everywhere, they get treated to learning about a new branch of magic that's not really touched on very much in the books.
But Snape is a substitute teacher for Lupin in Prisoner of Azkaban, so it's not all that uncommon that you have that happen for that particular class. I mean, think about the werewolf class, right? I mean, that's a huge class given the plot of that book. Yeah. Maybe it's important that Dumbledore teach this to Newt, given what may happen down the line.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that it's another film that's going to be talking about a ridiculous spell, because it's such a funny joke about like being whatever that word is. It's like a pun, or I don't know. This class is ridiculous.
What do you think, Andrew?
I'm with you in that you presented the idea that maybe he was a DADA teacher before Transfiguration. That's the one I'm buying. J.K. Rowling is very aware that I think a lot of fans do know that he used to be Transfiguration teacher. That's the way we've always heard it. So I don't think she's just going to turn around and be like, oh, just kidding, it was actually DADA. I think she's working in something where I don't want the substitute thing. I think that's kind of dumb. That's like too convenient. I want he was a DADA teacher before or after being a Transfiguration teacher. That I can buy and accept. I have seen a lot of people actually say, get a little worried, like, hey, what the heck? We have always known him as a Transfiguration teacher. I don't like that she's changing things for the purpose of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Actually, though, I wonder if he removes himself from being Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher after all of this with Grindelwald. Maybe just given his history and his desire for the Hallows, maybe he doesn't trust himself to be in this position to teach Defense Against the Dark Arts anymore. Maybe what happens with Tom Riddle has him pivot and shift away from this position, and then he teaches Transfiguration afterwards.
Yeah, as like a safe kind of subject or safe alternative.
I mean, Dumbledore is a possibility as well.
Dumbledore is one of the characters that I think could probably teach any subject and be good at it. So that counts for something.
You could also argue that Dumbledore teaching a Transfiguration teacher could be teaching the ridiculous spell, because there is transformation going on.
Oh, and Boggarts. Yeah. It's true enough.
By the way, just looking at this shot from the trailer of Dumbledore in the DADA classroom, all the desks are pushed aside. Presumably, that's because they were doing the Boggart training.
Interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And then,
I feel like I'm just completely destroying all my theories that I'm throwing out there, but it does say that, Mary thought was there until 1945, which is a curious time for her to stop being DADA teacher, but that would remove the possibility that Dumbledore served in this post for a long time.
Yeah.
She started in I have to look it back up, but she started in the 1800s in that position. So
okay. I wasn't really aware of that whole,
let's see,
timeline. That's a little frustrating. Then we'll see how
she was a witch and professor of Defense Against the Dark Arts from around 1895 to 1945, holding the position for nearly 50 years.
Then this isn't the Mary thought that wanted to spend more time with their remaining limbs. Was that was a different?
I think that's Merryweather.
Over on Patreon, we got a bunch of people listening live right now, which we love. Sam says the name Eulalie Hicks translates to brave and well-spoken leader. All right, so we still have one more news item today. So we just passed the 20th anniversary of the Battle of Hogwarts. I can't believe it's been 20 years. It feels like yesterday. But believe it or not, it has been 20 years since that awful day. And as has become tradition, J.K. Rowling has apologized for killing off a particular character. Previous years, she apologized for Fred. That was in 2015. That was the first year she started this. In 2016, she apologized for Lupin. In 2017, she apologized for Snape. 2018, the apology is for Dobby. She says, well, he didn't die during the Battle of Hogwarts. He laid down his life to save the people who'd win it. So, all right. I mean, this is just like a fun little tradition she has going on. I like it. I was actually looking forward to it on May 1st. I was like, oh, damn, we're at that time of year already where J.K. Rowling is going to apologize.
I saw you tweet her and remind her, like, hey, just FYI.
I mean, she probably has me muted, so I doubt she saw that tweet, but a lot of people liked it, so.
Yeah, it was good.
You didn't keep the secrets. Wormtaily, that's probably...
Gosh.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've said this year in and year out when we've gotten to this point. I'm not a huge fan of this. I don't think you need to apologize for things that you wrote.
Right.
I understand the idea behind it. Dobby is an interesting one because it is outside of the actual battle itself, but he's clearly integral to keeping certain characters safe. The one thing that I thought of was Bellatrix must be really good at darts.
What?
To throw that dagger so precisely.
Lucky shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I think some of our listeners were looking, and me as well, were looking forward to an apology for Lavender Brown.
Always. I've just given up on that one, though. It's just
you're never going to get that answer anytime soon.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. She might have a spin-off series coming. There's
Surprise.
Something. Yeah.
She's alive, and Dumbledore taught DADA. So what is the purpose of this yearly apology? It's just for fun. I don't think anybody should take it very seriously. It's just like, sorry, not sorry.
I mean, it was a joke. I think the first year she did it, she's like, okay, I'm going to do something now where I'm sorry for, like, on this anniversary, I think of the characters I killed, and sorry for Fred, and then it just became a thing. People are holding her accountable. I'm sad that she went straight to Dobby, who, as she points out, did not die in the battle, when so many other characters like Tonks and Lupin, for instance, did. I mean, there's always going to be a hierarchy for each individual person of who you want her to apologize for. Like, people are just like, this character was my favorite and you killed them, and just say sorry, it'll make it better. And like, again, it's all fiction, right? It's all made up, but people really did develop a connection to these characters. I think Lupin is, behind Sirius, Lupin is my favorite Harry Potter character, and an apology maybe will make me feel a little bit better in a year or two, or whenever she gets around to Lupin. Though she should probably apologize for Hedwig first, because that was just unnecessary.
Could you imagine George R.R. Martin doing something like that?
No, not at all.
Who would you like him to apologize for, Micah?
Well, spoilers. Or do I need to be careful about what I say? Actually, I would say Robert Baratheon. And it's actually more so because of the way Mark Addy played him in the series. That there's just not a more jovial character on that show, I don't think. Although, actually, another one I would add to that list would be Oberyn Martell. I think he should apologize for that. Yeah, probably the most gruesome death scene on television.
I'm with you 100%.
But I think one other thing she could do here is she could, instead of being apologetic, maybe give a little bit more context to those that survived the battle. Talk about the characters that made it through and what they're doing now. I don't think there's probably enough of that, even on Pottermore.
Yeah.
So twisting
she
it around
could-
a little bit instead of instead of being apologetic.
Yeah. Well, it is just a fun annual thing, but I kind of agree. Like, she could do a 7-part series, or 7-part story rather, like a brief short story of a couple paragraphs long each year that she adds to, of like what the immediate aftermath was of the Battle of Hogwarts. But
True.
I don't know.
Yeah, we
don't see
don't
any-
get enough of that.
I have to toot my own horn for a second. Last year, just for fun, I made a wish list of people she should kill next. And Dobby was on that list of 5. So
Oh.
I think she listened to my list.
You mean people
Thank you, Joe.
people she should apologize for killing? You said people she should kill next.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Apologize for it, yeah.
yeah. Who else was on the list?
Dumbledore.
Oh.
That one, come on.
Yeah.
Lavender Brown, because
Yeah.
always. Hagrid's flobberworms. Those poor flobberworms were killed after they ate lettuce. They were fed too much lettuce by Hagrid.
Mm.
They deserve an apology. We all deserve an apology for that one.
What a way to go.
And finally, Tonks, who we definitely know is dead, but we need to hear an apology for her. And then at the end, I added bonus, the cursed child. J.K. Rowling should apologize for killing the hopes and dreams we had for the cursed child.
Wow.
I should delete that one.
Yeah.
I'd say you probably feel
That didn't-
differently about that now.
That didn't age well.
I've evolved over the past year. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Hogwarts Mystery. This was a big deal in the lead up to it because there's now this group at Warner Brothers that is putting together Harry Potter games in conjunction with video game developers.
Mm.
In the case of Hogwarts Mystery, they worked with Jam City. And it was initially marketed as, you now have your Hogwarts letter. You're about to go through all 7 years at Hogwarts. You get to explore, you get to cast spells and do all this cool stuff. It's been out for about a week and a half now. What do you guys think of Hogwarts Mystery?
I am enjoying it so far. I can't say that I have gotten terribly far along. I believe I'm still in the first year of Hogwarts for reasons we will discuss. It takes a little bit of time to get through everything. But, I think from the get-go, there's a lot of fun to be had in the beginning. Creating a character, choosing a house, just getting a feel for the gameplay mechanics. I think the intro to how the game is going to work is pretty well handled. The little tutorials that are showing you, what to do. Now, it doesn't necessarily ever really get out of that state. I'm still being guided on the screen what to click, what to do, throughout kind of the first year. Maybe that'll go away a little bit more and it'll be a little bit more, I don't know, where you can do more exploring kind of thing. But for now, it's, been a series of classes and exercises. And the big takeaways for me are the music is good. The animation is fun and kind of the Hogwarts that we know. And that alone it's just interesting. And the story that they're trying to weave here with your character's brother and things, it's coming out. So far, it's a pretty good effort to create a story that realistically could have happened at Hogwarts in the 1980s. I genuinely think it was a cool concept, and I'm not at the point where the game has frustrated me into not playing further. Some people are a little frustrated, but I'm still enjoying the game. You just kind of gotta go into it being prepared to go at a slower pace, I think.
Yeah. I'm with you on the graphics. I really like the animation. And it's cool to see Hogwarts like this on your phone. You can just pick it up and play it at any time and oh, now I'm in the Slytherin common room. Oh, now I'm in the Great Hall. I love how the Great Hall is so long, by the way. You have to scroll a bunch of times to get from one end to the other. I thought that was very smart. It's fun to be at Hogwarts during a calm period as well.
Yeah.
Because, whenever we see Hogwarts, it's there's something going on. Voldemort's coming back, or Fantastic Beasts. There's trouble afoot. So this is nice to just be at Hogwarts during a normal time where everything is okay.
Yeah.
However,
Well, Micah, what are your thoughts on it?
I agree with most of what you both said. I think the graphics are very well done. I do like the ability to explore Hogwarts. Seems like you need to unlock certain areas.
Mm,
You can't just kind of stroll into Dumbledore's office whenever you feel like,
right.
or the Slytherin common room if you're a Ravenclaw. One thing that I was surprised by is that you could actually select your house. There really wasn't too much that went into the sorting.
Mm.
You didn't have to answer questions to kind of determine which house you wanted to go into. It was just kind of, hey, which one do you want to be in? And boom, the sorting hat selected you for that house.
Yeah.
I do like, and I'm assuming you guys can tell me which houses you ended up picking, although I can probably guess. But like with Ravenclaw, you do have sort of that one-on-one interaction with Flitwick, and I'm guessing that it's the same for the other three houses, that you do get that interaction with the heads of house, and you learn some things about them that maybe, if you hadn't read Pottermore, you didn't know. So like it's mentioned that Flitwick used to be a dueling champion. So you go to him to learn how to duel so that you can deal with this pain in the butt Slytherin that's harassing
Merula?
you.
Or
Merula, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was actually one question I was going to ask is, and we can kind of figure this out from talking to each other, is the story the same for everybody? Even though we all know, okay, there's clearly something that's going on with your brother, but the pathway to kind of get to figuring out what that is it the same regardless of which house you're in?
I think it is.
Yeah, far, but that takes sort of a level of skill as well in the writing and the planning to be able to set a mystery at Hogwarts that regardless of whether your character is male or female or in any one of the houses, that you have this, it's just like, everybody, no matter what character you chose and what the house they're in, is investigating their brother's disappearance. And they'll have a best friend, probably named Rowan in both cases. Is your guy's best friend named Rowan?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I saw on somebody else's that Rowan's a girl if you're a girl.
It is.
You know
actually.
what I mean?
Yeah, I have a girl character, actually.
Oh, you do? Mine's a guy.
And Rowan's a girl. Yeah, absolutely.
And you're Hufflepuff, I'm assuming.
A Hufflepuff, yeah. Hufflepuff girl. Her name is Autumn Watson.
But are you interacting with Sprout?
I've seen exactly like you said, the intro to the house. Like I've had an interaction with Sprout so far. But I haven't gotten to the point where we're learning to duel. I actually used my book smarts and told Merula that I wasn't going to duel her in the first time, and so she kind of walked away, but flipendoed me, and I fell on my butt, and that was like the last thing I did in the game. But
you're not going to herbology on a regular basis, though. You're going to charms for the most part and potions, or how is that working?
I will find out more. I haven't. I attended 3 flying lessons because I was really into flying.
Okay,
but
that's another
more classes.
Class you can go to. But
yeah,
Andrew, what about for you? Did you do Slytherin?
Yes, I did do Slytherin, and I've been in the Flitwick classroom. That's mainly it. I did some flying lessons. I don't know. I think we all kind of go the same direction, except for, which house you're checking into.
Right.
There's got to be some differences, though. It can't all be identical.
Well, it's not. But I mean, like, again, in the writing, like Merula comes over and is like, I read up on your brother and he was a disgrace to Hufflepuff House. That same line of dialogue would be, he was a disgrace to Slytherin House, or he was a disgrace, But if you're in Slytherin, is Merula a Slytherin or is she a Gryffindor?
Slytherin.
Okay, still, so no matter what, she is a Slytherin, but you don't get along with her then?
Right. No, you don't.
Oh, that's
so she just picks on you as a fellow Slytherin.
Yeah, she's the enemy no matter what house you're in.
That's interesting.
Antagonist.
That's so interesting.
She's so mean, and I mean, a lot of people have been talking about this. online and in the chat right now.
I have a feeling you're going to end up friends with her in some way.
Oh, I wonder.
And so and as April's pointing out right now, potions, charms, and flying are the year 1 classes.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. I will say it is my greatest pleasure reading and having access to our patrons only Facebook group, because people are excoriating Merula. They're just really like, everybody's screenshotting their game when we're all, people are playing along.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of funny cutscenes and a lot of funny commentary, like a running sort of commentary when people are going about, man, look what this crazy person did now, to us. And there's one photo Sam posted an hour ago of just a bunch of characters eating sandwiches all the time. So
yeah,
it's just kind of a fun commentary to go along and play this game in like a group setting like that.
One other aspect I like is that you can control your character's personality, who they're growing into. So you answer questions certain ways, and that'll affect the outcomes. Like, do you want to be nice about it? Do you want to fight back? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And you build up points there, and the game responds to how you're choosing to grow up.
I haven't seen that matter in a huge way, but again, I'm only in year 1. Like, I think that it will matter. I think eventually, I mean, it is important to note, I'm pretty sure the game only goes up to year 3 at this point. Like, it's always intended to go the 7 years of Hogwarts. Everybody said that, but you actually get a message, which again was posted on Facebook, like, it's from the developer team. And when you get to the end of year 3, you get a message that's like, we're working diligently to bring more Hogwarts mystery content shortly.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing. And so right now you can't like beat the game. You can get to the point where it hasn't been, released yet. So I guess future years are still being developed by Portkey Games and Jam City, and, more content is being added daily. So I think, at this point, you're still building attributes. It will eventually pay off. But have you guys ever brought like a friend on a mission? Because like now, after playing Gobstones with Rowan, I'm able to like recruit Rowan to come on like missions like as an option because we passed a certain friendship level. And I think you'll be in year 2, you're able to do that with Bill Weasley, and in year 3, Tonks. Yeah, I'm just interested. They actually have like some interesting ideas that are like, there's an option here where you go to a friend's menu and stuff. And I haven't necessarily seen it come to fruition, but ultimately I like it. Like it ultimately seems fun. And, it's calm and sort of relaxing to kind of just be in Hogwarts for 5 or 10 minutes until your energy runs out at a time.
Yeah. So let's talk about the energy. That's the one big complaint. You have these energy points, and this is another thing about this game, which is like, meh. Most of the game involves just tapping certain tasks. Like right now, I'm tapping Adjust Stance, and every time I tap, that costs 1 energy.
You're playing during podcast?
Yeah, so am I.
Well, yeah, I got it open right now just so I can
How
talk
better to
about
talk
it.
about it than playing it while we're recording?
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah, well, that's I got to open my game then.
Yeah, come on. And the thing is, you run out of energy pretty quickly, so you can only really play for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. It kind of feels like having like a Neopet, where like you're just popping in, you're feeding your character, you're feeding your pet, and then you're getting back out.
Yeah.
You pop into Hogwarts Mystery, you tap a couple times, you do a couple spells.
Your
you move to
Tamagotchi
different classroom.
pooped, you clean it up, and then you go along your way.
And then to pace you even further, so the energy limits you and how much you can do at a certain period of time. And then like your missions, you can only do so many. And then it'll be like, you can do your next mission in another 3-4 hours. So yeah, you can't get really far in the game in one sitting.
No, but I think that's intentional. There's probably other ways that they could have gone about it that would have made for a better user experience than saying you need to wait a couple of hours and need your energy to recharge, or you need to make sure you collect enough gems so that you can buy more energy.
That's really it. The whole thing is when this came out and people were first experiencing the energy, I was reading some very negative feedback about how this is a devious plan to empty the pockets and wallets of Harry Potter fans worldwide. And it's just, it is what it is. You can pay for more energy. You can pay for more time. In-app purchases are the future of mobile gaming. It makes sense that there would be that aspect to this game.
Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, people say, well, I would much rather just spend $5 to $10 to not deal with this pay-to-play nonsense. And, you know, maybe you get double the energy if you're just paying a lot more up front. And that is a great point. However, I think pay-to-play is very profitable for these apps. I mean, in some cases, I think some of these apps are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, depending on the popularity of the game. I've read reports saying that. So for me, I don't think I'm going to stick with this game. My boyfriend is like planning his day around it. Like, oh, if I do this in the morning, I'll be able to do it again in the afternoon. I'll have more time built up.
I love him for that. And I love people who are able to do that, because that's kind of what it's like Farmville. Like, you got to come back and plant your crops, and then in 3 hours you got to check on them and set personal alarms on your Fitbit to like get back.
Exactly. But that's not me. I'm not that type of person. I like paying upfront for a game, like on my PlayStation, and playing it for as long as I want, not being limited and having to shell out extra cash.
You can get like an entire Gringotts vault worth of jewels, but it's like $100. And then who's to say how often that'll last? Like, I think people are being taken aback a little bit about, you know, the time limits. I did hear from, I think it was Alexis I was speaking to recently, was like, you know what? I like that the game tells me to get up, go outside and do something and be active every 5 or 10 minutes, because I need that reminder. Otherwise I would play for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But like most conventional video games, I do like the option to play for hours and hours and hours. And in this case, it's very much not that. You know, I took 3 flying lessons and I had to wait 5 minutes, and then I came back, and then it had told me that I had done enough lessons for the day. Right. And I needed to wait 3 hours. And so it is kind of frustrating that when you know, because I'm not made of time, when I have the time to play a game, I'm invested. But this game is more limiting and hides the ability or the option to play more behind a paywall, and that is really shitty.
You could just explore for hours on end.
But the two-dimensional left and right Hogwarts grounds, everything.
It's not that fun to explore for more than like 5 minutes.
Just joking around, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm playing right now, and I'm trying to learn Rictum Sempra, and I got as far as 1 star. I'm not even at 1 star yet. I'm looking right now, and that's the spell you're supposed to use to be able to embarrass Merula when you duel with her.
I hate her.
I'm just wondering, as you go from 1 year to the next, is that power allotment going to grow? So, like right now, I'm at 25, and that resets, I guess, after a certain period of time. So I get all those 25 back. Will it go to 30 or 35 or 50 as I go from year 1 to year 2? I can see myself playing this through the first 3 years, maybe. I mean, I would at least want to get through year 1.
Yeah, right. The answer is yes, it looks like. A couple people in the chat, April and Nicole. April says, you gain more energy through the game. I am up to 27 energy. We all started with 24. And Nicole says, yeah, with every past flying lesson, you earn 1 more energy limit.
Oh.
So, Eric, those should be paying off for you.
Yeah, I gotta open up my game and figure out if I'm at 27 by now.
You can spend up to $100 at a time for gems.
No.
You can spend $99.99 on 3,125 gems.
Yeah. Well, the gems there's gems you can buy, and then there's coins. I think. Yeah. Each of them do different things. Like I think ultimately that Hogwarts Mystery has received some of this criticism already, because I opened the app the other day and was just given 100 gems.
They sent that out to everybody, I think, to
just kind of ease. And
I got that too.
Yeah, I was able to immediately redeem it for an additional 5 minutes of playtime, but then it was gone. Like, I couldn't even buy a nice pair of shorts or something. Like, it was just 100 gems does nothing.
my Hogwarts character is walking around in a white t-shirt because I can't afford anything good, and I don't want to spend the money on clothes. Like, I'd rather spend those gems on more energy than having a cool t-shirt or something. So
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
by the way, also too many push notifications. Like, I don't need 2 to 3 push notifications daily reminding me to play.
I have those.
Although I
off,
do
I
like the
guess.
one that says Professor McGonagall expects perfect attendance.
That's such a
Guilt trips
scam.
me.
That's just like
I don't get
Yeah.
those though, Eric. Do you?
I've gotten the Professor McGonagall one, but I was sure that I had turned them off. But I've gotten that one before as like a notification update, and I was like, man, there are really like Harry Potter fans out there who are like, oh my god, I can't upset Professor McGonagall. I got to open up Hogwarts Mystery right away.
Right.
You know, which is like fun, but I worry that it's trying to be addictive or like essential versus just fun, and I think it's in-app purchases aren't inherently shady as long as you're clear on what the game requires of you, but like ultimately it does make for a very slow going Hogwarts experience, which is just fine by me. But like, this is a game I'll play casually while I can, for as long as I can, when I'm interested, and then I'll be forced to go away and do other things. I'm not going to be like $2 today, $2 tomorrow, $2 Wednesday, because that
now.
adds up. Yeah, I know.
Because I was very much like that with Pokemon Go, and then I found myself starting to purchase incense or other things that would attract Pokemon. I haven't played that
You
game.
don't really have to. I guess maybe the incense, but
Yeah, I haven't made a purchase on that game though in months. I haven't played it in months, but I would go the same route, Eric. I would play it casually. I would, whenever you have a couple minutes, pick it up and see what you can do. And it's interesting that they don't have any ads built in, because I would think that they would want to try and keep people on the game for as long as possible, but it doesn't seem to be the case because the power aspect of it is such a huge deterrent.
I think that there is a real concern for people with impulse control issues, for people with gambling habits, for people, who are quicker to spend money. There's probably an argument to be made there that this game is toxic in that way. But it is what it is, I think. Ultimately, there's enough to keep me continue to play. For now, I'm enjoying the little bit of story, the little bit of character interaction. Like, for me, it's just like, oh, it's somebody else's year one at Hogwarts kind of insight, and the graphics are enough that I'm still interested.
Right.
Micah, what did our patrons say? This was our question over at patreon.com/MuggleCast.
Yeah, so try to pick a diverse set of responses here. We got over 50 comments about the game. The first from Shannon Spicer, who says that she's in year one so far. The energy is the most frustrating part of the game. I like to play while eating my lunch or in the morning before work, but I run out of energy before I can finish the task. Then I can't return to the game before the time is up and I have to start all over. The one thing I wish was different is the sorting process. I wish there was an actual quiz to sort and not just what house are you hoping for?
I disagree with that point by Shannon, because ultimately you're going to be stuck in this game for a real long time. You might as well get the house you want. Don't pretend that you don't have a favorite house that you'd really like to be in, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Or certainly, even if you personally don't have a house and you really want to be sorted, especially like we did, I think we all kind of opened ourselves up to vulnerability by taking the Pottermore sorting test. What's it going to be? Answering those questions as truthfully as possible. This is a situation where you have an avatar with precious few clothing options for non-rich people, and you're going to want to see your character in a certain color robe, and you're going to want to be able to go into a certain common room. Everyone has a preference. So I like the idea that it was just open-ended. You could just choose and get that over with.
Yep. Ryan Hicks, I think the game overall is beautiful and the graphics are fantastic. My biggest issue with the game is that you have to tap on random objects to complete a task, but you only have so many energies to perform that task. I understand in-app purchases, but I feel like they made this a little ridiculous. Either you're sitting around waiting for your energy to build back up, or you're forking out way too much money. It was a great idea, just not the best format.
Yeah, I'm bummed when you're sitting in a class, for instance, and in order to complete the class, you have to click on everything that there is to click on, and each thing you click on is a task, and each task requires a different amount of energy points. I hate that it takes like 3 energy points to look around, 2 energy points to open your book, 4 more energy points to make a snide comment to Merula, and an additional 2 energy points to, I don't know, yawn or not fall asleep. And then when you get to like the final, like, take notes portion, it's 4 energy points and you only have 3 left. Like that's garbage. Like you're at the end of the lesson and you can't finish the lesson because you've spent all this time doing the other tasks that are like story beats. Like, oh yeah, she's still, interacting with your rival. That's a natural part of class. Harry does it all the time with Draco in potions, these things that are like very organic seeming. Oh, there's a bird flying around, gotta look at that. These are all natural things, but the fact that it costs more energy than you have is a problem. And especially for the timing out issue that Ryan mentioned.
Brittany O, I'm actually really enjoying the game, though I do believe this is because I didn't have a high bar. This is a mobile game for your phone after all. I always expected it to be just like any other free mobile game. The energy issue doesn't bother me like it seems to bother others. I just wish there were more things you could do that didn't require energy so that you could play for a longer chunk of time. I don't enjoy the story, but I do enjoy how the game progresses, and I'm excited to run into some familiar faces. I'm finishing up year 1, and I'm planning to play through all 7 years.
Well, you can play through 3 for now.
Well, a little bit of a different perspective there. Stephanie says, as a total non-gamer, this game is perfect for me. I work 16-hour days, so my recharge time goes by pretty quick. Trace the letter V to cast a spell? Why, yes, I can do that. Uh-oh, what about an almost right angle? Nailed it. Oh, okay. My video game skills are novice, so this is right up my alley. Any interaction with the castle grounds and professors is really so much fun to watch. I'm in for the whole game for sure.
Yeah, I do like how it directs you exactly where you need to go. It's great for casual gamers. Like, I don't want to get super invested in this game because it's just kind of basic. So the fact that I don't have to think about what I need to do next, there's just kind of an alert guiding me.
Yeah, that's helpful.
I like that in this case.
The quick travel thing where you could just click in the menu.
Right.
Yeah.
Brittany S. just got to year 2 yesterday. I feel like the energy is a little better now because they keep giving me the gems. I'll definitely play to year 7. As annoying as the energy thing is, the storyline is definitely interesting, and I want to finish it. All right, Heidi. Waste of time, obvious money grab. I feel so bad for the actors who did voice work for this because after about 10 minutes of playing, I realized it wasn't about a game at all. It was about gouging people for money. I deleted it as soon as I worked this out.
One thing else I'll say to that is I hate that the app is not even called Hogwarts Mystery. It shows up as Harry Potter on my phone.
Ew, really? Hold on, let me look at this.
Yeah, look at your iOS app.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, they lead with it. It's because it's Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery, but on the main screen it just shows up as Harry Potter. Like, that is such an obvious money thing. That is,
they have to change that because, like, eventually there's going to be a bunch of these games, and why does this one get to call itself Harry Potter?
Harry Potter, right? They need to change that so it's called Hogwarts Mystery.
Yeah.
All right. Final patron comment here from Matthew Jordan, and does a good job of breaking things down. I've played most of year 1, and here are some quick thoughts. The pros: great storyline, very engaging in how you can choose your path and either warm up to professors or students or be a rebel. Love the customization of your character. I didn't expect to fully explore the castle, but what we can explore is totally fine for mobile. The cons: the paywalls must stop. I would have been totally fine paying $5 to $10 for the entire 7 years of unlocked game, but now I just play 5 minutes and have to wait for my energy to recharge. This is a serious trend in gaming that must stop.
I agree with that. I mean, you're looking at, like Andrew said, you're looking at a trade-off. If you're playing a game on PlayStation, you paid $50 or $60 for it, but just once, and you have 40 to 80 to 100 to 200. I think Kevin was telling me last week that he sunk over 200 hours into Breath of the Wild. And Micah, I know you have some comparable playtimes for that game. But
I'm around that as well.
Yeah, and you play it like you pay once is the thing versus these tiny little microtransactions that are eventually going to cost so much more than the game normally would have for less content. This ultimately is not a free roaming Hogwarts game. You can't do much. And I heard the criticism too. You don't actually learn how to play gobstones, for instance. The game is spent trying to distract your friend so she loses. And it just kind of, it's not advancing Harry Potter canon in a meaningful way. It's simply keeping us distracted and occupied long enough for us to get our credit cards out.
I resent that you said I sunk 200 hours into Zelda. I wisely spent and enjoyed 200 hours in Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I'm so jealous. I wish that I had a Switch.
All right. Thanks, patrons, for those. To wrap up today's show, we have some voicemails to listen to. Woo.
Hey, MuggleCast. This is Charlie calling from Boone, North Carolina. And I was thinking about what you were talking about, I think 2 episodes ago, in your 8th book, or hypothetical 8th books. And one of the things that was brought up was what would have happened to the Hogwarts castle after the battle. And I was just wondering if what you thought about some of the damage being irreparable from being cursed off by dark magic, and or maybe what parts of the castle would have been left in its wrecked state to be sort of a memoir. That's not the right word. What am I looking for?
Memorialized.
Yeah.
Sir.
Either way. Like the Potter's house in Godric's Hollow, left in its wrecked state, sort of as a reminder of what was and what had happened and what took place there. So just your thoughts. Wanted to know maybe if some of the damage wouldn't have been repaired or couldn't have been repaired because of how it was damaged. Hope you all had a great week. Hope you all enjoyed the play, and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.
It's a cool question. Like, did Hogwarts completely return to normal? Was there anything ruined permanently? Hogwarts Castle is a stone castle, so you would think most of it was able to be repaired between the fact that it's such a strong structure and, we have magic, which could conceivably fix anything.
Yeah, I like the idea that there are certain parts that weren't necessarily completely returnable to, like, they couldn't just cast Reparo and bring it back to the normal state as a result of what happened there. I also like the idea of there being a monument or a memorial somewhere along the grounds, a tribute to you see this at war monuments as well, like a tribute to the people whose lives were lost, and maybe even like a list of names. I can see there being a plaque or a like a structure, like a monolith with everyone's name on it, being placed somewhere along the grounds, maybe in a courtyard, by a fountain or something, like that.
And then in terms of the Potter's house, like if a monument was there, who knows? However, I'm glad he brought this up, because in The Cursed Child, it's kind of, there's this joke about how now it gets more tourists.
Yeah. Well, I think there is in Deathly Hallows, there is like a little monument, I was pretty sure. Yeah. Like a little marker.
Oh, okay. Marking. Right. And then there's the joke about there being a farmer's market there now or something. And I wondered if that was a reference to, is there more tourism because this is where the Potters died? Like, what exactly are they getting at here?
Yeah, maybe. But I will say, too, in terms of how much of Hogwarts was put back, I mean, it still has to function as a school at the end of the day. They can't necessarily have entire structures that are toppled or the sky or the ceiling is blown open. It has to still function as a school. So my guess would be that something like the Great Hall, the dungeons, whatever, battlements and towers are probably for the most part returned as much to normal as possible. And I think the question, would they do any expansion? Would they build more rooms? Would they build more things? Is always a possibility with magic. But for the most part, all the functional areas that have to serve for the school are probably back to normal. And then they probably have like a monument off to the side.
Here's a voicemail that responds to a previous episode.
Hi, friends. It's Karishma from Philadelphia. This podcast you guys were talking about, like, what you would have liked to see in The Cursed Child. Like, before it came out, what the story would be, and you guys were talking about what you wanted to see in your version of The Cursed Child. And everyone brought up a lot of good points, but I'm just thinking, like, where is Teddy Lupin in this whole thing? Because if we're talking about parallels, it would have been far more interesting to me to hear about Teddy Lupin as the main character of Cursed Child rather than, Albus and Scorpius, because if you think about it, he really is the parallel to the Harry Potter series. I mean, who ends up an orphan, who has a godfather and who never got to meet his parents, and whose parents died in a war. So I would have loved to, like, journey with Teddy on maybe his journey to finding out maybe who his parents were, possibly finding out secrets about that. And I just think that Cursed Child should have been all about Teddy, whereas I don't even remember him being mentioned once in The Cursed Child. I could be wrong, but if he was mentioned, it had to have been very briefly. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. I know this was kind of like me rambling, so I apologize for that. But have a good week, guys. Bye.
It's such a good point, and it kind of bums me out that I don't even think there's a single reference to Teddy in The Cursed Child.
Not that I recall.
Like this caller was saying, the parallels are there between him and Harry Potter, and it would have been interesting. He could be the Cursed Child. He lost his parents. Maybe he wants a time turner to try and bring them back from the Battle of Hogwarts. That could have been more interesting, seeing the Battle of Hogwarts on stage, not going back to the Goblet of Fire timeline, just jumping back to Deathly Hallows. I don't know.
That's a good point.
Maybe is it possible that the scriptwriter and J.K. Rowling thought Teddy Lupin was maybe just too, like, inside baseball for the general Harry Potter audience?
He's not more inside baseball than, like, Albus Severus as, like, a lead.
But
character.
That's Harry's kid.
Well, it's Harry's kid, but Harry's
Lupin's.
Teddy's godfather. Like, they could have still had Harry Potter in the play.
Yeah. Like, it should have been Scorpius, Albus, and Teddy, maybe.
Well, Hugo is also erased from existence in this play, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
Hugo Weasley.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, there's a couple of blind spots there. But I agree about Teddy. The other thing about Teddy that I heard recently, I was recording an episode of Alohomora. He's raised by Andromeda Black, Tonks's mom, his grandmother, who it turns out was just like really, really amazing. She's a great person who, even though she was raised Slytherin, it like allowed her house to be used as a refuge for Harry in Book 7, and ends up being the one who raises Teddy along with Harry Potter. And it really made me appreciate Andromeda a lot more, who we know next to nothing about. So Cursed Child, I would have liked to have seen more about Andromeda Black raising Teddy.
Next voicemail.
Hey guys, Savannah here. You guys were talking about on your last episode about the what you wanted to see in a story if you had your dream A's story. What I kind of wanted to see was completely nothing we've seen at all. Like 20, 30 years in the future where we do not see any characters we recognize. Basically kind of like where we're going with Fantastic Beasts, where we're kind of, where you have a completely separate story. I want to do that in the future. And maybe like a name drop in like Professor Binns' classroom or something like that, where it's like, and the infamous battle with Harry Potter, and that's the only reference we get to that, tying to the Harry Potter series, but like 20, 30 years in the future. What's Hogwarts like 20, 30 years in the future? Or even 100 years in the future. Like, there's so many ways you could go with this.
There's so many years.
Thanks. You.
Okay. Bye. Anyway, I wanted to include this one because I wanted to point out that this is what Star Wars is doing right now. They're expanding to timelines that we simply know zero about. Star Wars has Rian Johnson, who directed The Last Jedi. He's writing another film trilogy that is completely unrelated to anything we know so far. And so are the Game of Thrones showrunners, David Benioff and Dan Weiss. They're writing a new film series as well. So this is where Star Wars is expanding to. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day down the road, after Fantastic Beasts, after Quidditch Through the Ages, the movie, J.K. Rowling finally feels comfortable enough where she's handing the keys over to other trusted, renowned writers to go into completely different areas that we never saw before.
Yeah.
I just the one point about Fantastic Beasts is that's not really going to a time where we don't know anybody. Especially now, it seems like the worlds are starting to come much, much closer together. Newt is obviously mentioned during the Potter series. There's a whole spin-off book that was done that was supposedly authored by him. And now we're seeing more and more characters name affiliations with wizarding families that we knew about in the Potter series. So I just don't think the Fantastic Beasts comparison is the right one to make. I think it's more so if you are going 50, 100 years down the line, that it's a completely new story with no characters that anybody knows anything about. And so I just don't know, though, how successful that would be.
I mean, for me, it's about an emotional investment. I want to know, I want a character thread, you know, to tie in, because otherwise you're just reading about strangers casting Obliviate and Ridiculous and Expelliarmus. And I don't know how much a story would matter to me that was completely new if people are clearly in Harry's world saying Expelliarmus, you know, to each other and all that good stuff and wearing robes. That doesn't commentate on where everybody's been, what happened to Harry Potter, what the state of the world in wizarding versus Muggle affairs is at, you know, in the future. It would need to be, I think, I want a Harry Potter story to always tie back into Harry somehow. You could do a Harry Potter story without Voldemort. You could do a Harry Potter story without Harry himself necessarily, as long as the legacy of like his life is touched on. And I think that's what Fantastic Beasts is doing with Dumbledore and Dumbledore's legacy.
Yeah. Plus, we all kind of knew Newt and Grindelwald, of course.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with these Star Wars movies. They could inform what happens for Wizarding World, the Wizarding World franchise in the future.
Yeah,
if they do well, the Wizarding World Warner Brothers can look to them.
My favorite thing about Star Wars so far is in Rogue One, the monk character played by Chirrut Imwe, that's his character name, Chirrut Imwe, who says, "I am one with the Force is with me." That chant, like this guy who may ambiguously be able to wield the Force, it's never confirmed, having that sort of religious discipline to the Force, which is something that runs through all the Star Wars films. Here's a guy who's not a Jedi talking about the Force, and it's amazing. So like I'm interested in those tie-ins where this is very much the same universe, but it definitely isn't your normal story, but it still connects and ties back.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the plans to steal the Death Star, that's all people kind of needed to.
Yeah, like that's as much of a tie-in that you need, and then it's a totally different story. You know, like a one-off. I think it really works.
One more voicemail today.
Hello, Andrew, Micah, and Eric. This is Suman. I'm a very long-time listener, like 10 years or more. But this is the first time I'm calling. I've tried to send some owls, but I think my owl is a lot like Ron's, and it's not getting through. So I went the Muggle way, and I'm leaving you a voicemail. Hey, you probably already know this, but if you didn't, Puff, the Broadway show, has been filmed, and Fathom Events is going to be showing it in movie theaters on May 9th and 12th. I live in the Las Vegas area, so it's definitely going to be showing here, and I've already got my ticket. But I just wanted to let you know, I'm not sure if I'll ever get to New York to see it, so this is the next best thing. So I wanted to let you and all the listeners know, love your podcast. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Suman, I believe her name is, or Susan, for your energy. I loved that voicemail. I had to play it. And I couldn't remember if we mentioned this on the show or not. Puffs will be in theaters this upcoming week, so get your tickets, search, and then it's going to be available for digital download after that. Not immediately after, but sometime after. So that's probably when I'll be able to see it. I'm just going to download it and watch in the comfort of my own home.
I just saw it last week live. Yay.
Yeah, did you talk? You talked about it, right?
I must have mentioned it. Yeah, but I think if you have a couple of friends you can go to the movie theater with, in your hometown, whether it's Las Vegas or anywhere else in the U.S. that's doing these Fathom events where they actually stream into the movie theater. It's kind of cool, newfangled technology to do that. But yeah, I know the Regal here does it, and there'll be some opportunities. It's good to go and see.
It's newfangled technology.
It still blows my mind that it's not still on a... I mean, I was a projectionist for a time, so it blows my mind that it's not like film. But, yeah.
You would be a projectionist. I can just see that. I remember you telling us about that.
Watching all the movies through the projector booth.
Oh, man. But yeah, so that's really cool that it is coming up this week, though, so everybody act fast if you're interested. As a Hufflepuff, it didn't fix all of my problems with being a Hufflepuff, but it is a very funny, well conceived and executed story and play, and it is funny. It's just good, lighthearted fun to go to with a couple of Harry Potter fans. And I went with Katie and my mom still found enough to laugh about. So
that's good.
I'd say it's good for all ages, or not all ages, but all walks of all layers of intensity of Harry Potter fans.
All right. Well, we hope you, dear listener, enjoyed today's episode of MuggleCast. Check out our website, MuggleCast.com, to learn how to contact us, how to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and how to support us on Patreon. I want to also mention, I didn't play this voicemail, but somebody was looking for our Pig for Slaughter episode. We reference it all the time. Turns out it's one of those ones that's missing, but no more. It is now available. We'll include a link to it in the show notes, and we are continuing to work to restore the episodes that went missing. They were on an old server that they were uploaded to literally a decade ago now. And that server is no longer in operation, so we're moving those over. Should be pretty soon. It's going to be one of my tasks this upcoming week, so hopefully in the next week or two we'll be able to say all episodes are back online again.
Right, and you'll be able to tell the difference by the play links on the MuggleCast website.
And that was episode 116, if I didn't mention that already, that Pig for Slaughter episode.
116. Love it.
Yeah, so thanks everybody who's listening live right now. Patreon.com/MuggleCast is how you can support us. You'll get ad-free installments of every episode. You'll get bonus MuggleCasts. You will get access to our show notes, our recording studio, your name on a thank you page, an exclusive Facebook group where people are talking their heads off right now about the Hogwarts Mystery Game, chapter readings, and so much more. So thank you to everybody who supports us. Our Patreon is doing excellent, and the show is doing excellent thanks to you. So thank you.
Thank you. It's
Eric,
time for... Yeah, what?
Give us some Quizzitch before we wrap up.
Okay. Well, last week's Quizzitch question, or the one from the week before, where in Britain is the Railview Hotel located? The answer was Cokeworth. And this is the hotel that they are at in book 1 when Vernon and Petunia are on the run from Harry's owls. So good, exciting book 1 question there. Congrats to Sean Brady, who this time was the first person to answer the question correctly to us via Twitter, where we accept our Quizzitch answers each week. And shout out as well to the winners, Jennifer St. George, Maria Kay, Hannah, Justin, Elisa, Megan, and Weensy, Vanessa, and Jess. So congratulations to everyone. And this next week's Quizzitch question is as follows. In their third year, meaning the trio's third year, what is the Carer of Magical Creatures exam? What does it entail?
Thank you for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Micah.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.